welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer and we'll be continuing on with the advent calendar. I'm just starting on Santa's face, and the eyes is a 2 strands of black and it's a satin stitch. So I'm just showing you that right now. And if you haven't seen the other video tutorials, I will link them in the description below somewhere. So make sure you check those out so you can be up to date to where I am. But let me just finish these eyes off camera and get this face done. Luckily there's not a lot to do on the face, so it's not too bad. Okay, with both eyes done, you need 2 strands of white, and we're gonna do like a French knot for the white part of his eyes. And I like to have the picture for reference because I want the eyes to be looking in the same direction. So sometimes that can be a little difficult to do. All right. So I just said 2 strands. I'm actually using 1. Whoops. Okay. And I try not to go too tight here because sometimes then the French knot can get lost. So you can just take the end of your needle and just kind of bring up the French knot. Or if you feel like using 2 strands, that's cool too. Okay, so we're gonna add some stuffing to his face, and I try not to add too much so I don't want him to like be too poofy, because we're gonna be layering on top of his face. So I'm just adding just enough stuffing to create that 3D look that I want. And now I'm gonna close it up. Okay, so here is Santa's beard, and I'm just showing you the finishing parts of the mouth here. I started with the inside, which is a black, 2 strands of black, and I'm finishing with 2 strands of red for his lips. And this is also a satin stitch, and this takes some time, so make sure you take it slow, and should turn out just fine. And the mustache is going to go right over, so it should hide any edges that you don't like. So we're going to add the rest of the embellishments. And the other embellishments, the color is like I think it's like a lavender color almost. And then the white beads and sequins. And the lavender color is an outline stitch. And I didn't show that because I've done so many outline stitches. If you don't know how to do an outline stitch, I will also have my basic hand embroidery stitches linked down below also. And possibly in the cards above, if I remember to put them up there. Okay, so we're just adding the beard here, lightly stuffing it, and then double knotting in the back. Okay. And I had to speed up a lot of these parts because, you know, time. Alright, so I'm just crossing off. I like to kind of keep track of what I'm doing. So here's the hat. And I'm skipping ahead just because it's just all the same thing. So bead, sequin, applique. In this case, it's bead, sequin, stuff, then applique. So I'm just going to finish the top of the hat here. And then we're going to add the white trim, and that's also stuffed, and I believe it's only beads and sequins. So we're going to do the white trim next. And there is the white trim, and it does have a little holly bead right there, so don't forget that. And then we're going to add the end of the hat. And here's the little pom-pom that goes at the very end, so we're going to add that. I'm just showing you how I just kind of sandwich the 2 pieces of felt together with a little bit of stuffing in between, and whatever I can't fit in I just kind of trim off and then close it up. I find that's the easiest way to assemble little tiny pieces like that. And I'm not going to cut it yet because I'm actually going to use this to attach to the hat here. And this is the little tuft by his hat. So it's not a pom-pom, I was wrong. It's the little piece of hair from Santa. We'll do the pom-pom later. So just adding it real fast. And I'm gonna go through the back. Just because that part of the hat's a little bit closer to the back, so I might as well do that. Okay. Now we're gonna do the pom-pom. And honestly, I'm just gonna let you watch me do the pom-pom, and I'll stop talking. So here we go. Okay, now that the end of the hat is complete, we add the holly leaves on top. And they're very similar to the ones on top of the chimney, so make sure that you do that. And now we add the mustache. The mustache has the same colors as the beard. So I'm going to do that real fast, and then we're going to attach it. Oh my gosh, Santa's face looks so good. Okay, so we're gonna do a present next, and for some reason it says it has, like, I'm supposed to fold it in half and then stuff it and then put it on, but it doesn't look like that's the case. I don't know why it says that in the instructions, so we're just gonna go with the flow and work with what we have. I only have one side of the present, and this is the present we're working on, and I'm just going to do the regular embroidery and beading and whatever is on here, and then we're just gonna stuff it and then attach it to the front. So I thought that was rather strange that it says to fold in half when there's nothing to fold in half. I don't know. Sometimes instructions are like that. You get instructions and then the kit itself doesn't quite match, or sometimes I've even had colors not even match, which I thought was very interesting. So anyway, so the present has stripes, and I try not to go too far towards the edge. I'm doing outline stitch here, so if you don't know how to do that, I'm showing you right now. And I'm using 2 strands of white, and I try not to go towards the edge too much. If I end up going towards the edge, I kind of do either I kind of give myself kind of like a seam allowance, you know, like really tiny thin spacing, but luckily this felt isn't too thin, so it's not too bad. And then the green ribbon and the bow, I'm just attaching it with a bead. Super simple. And then we're going to add this to the, oh, that broke. That happens so often. And we're going to attach this to the wall hanging here. I'm going to pin it so it doesn't move around. And I like to make sure that the little dots add up with the other dots. And I'm going to stuff this. I'm just making sure I'm using the right color. And I'm going to applique this, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Little tiny parts, I'm warning you. If you have a hard time seeing, make sure you have one of those like table magnifying glasses if you have a hard time seeing with these little tiny pieces. So I'm just putting these tiny little pieces. The orange pieces, or I guess they're gold. The gold pieces are so hard to put on because they're so tiny. Like the felt is really thin, and so it doesn't help that it's hard to applique it because it's so thin. If the felt was better quality, it wouldn't be so difficult. So I'm just pointing it out for those of you that have a hard time seeing little tiny pieces, because I know there's a ton of you that have that problem. And I'm going to be one of those old ladies with these giant magnifying glasses on the table that can't see little pieces because I'm already blind as it is, so it's just going to go downhill from here. But yeah, I'm warning you, the train, like little parts of the train were a little difficult, even for me. So right now I'm doing like the cab, or I guess it's like where they put the engine or whatever. And I think this is stuffed, if I remember correctly. So I'm just appliquing the red part right now, and then I'm going to grab some stuffing and put the tiniest bit of stuffing in here. I'm just using my chopstick, because my finger is not quite, I mean, it's big enough, but I like to have that chopstick for just a little bit more maneuvering. And then I'm going to close this up and then keep putting the little parts of the train together. I do have to admit, though, that even though this is kind of tedious, all these parts, the train is super cute when it's done. So all that hard work, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is so cute. But if I were making this kit, like if I was the person putting it together or making it, I would probably do a little bit less detail and a little more embroidery on it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. I just felt like some of these gold pieces are just so thin. And this part was especially interesting to stuff because it's kind of like the shape of a U. It's weird. You definitely need some type of chopstick, or I don't even think a pencil would be thin enough. A chopstick is my go-to tool for little tiny things like that. So I'm just gonna applique this closed. And to finish off, we have that little red piece to complete the top of the train. Now we're gonna put the wheels on. Okay, so here's the green wheels. There's a big one and a little one. So it says to applique the wheel. But because it's so small, I'm just using a bead and a sequin, and it works just fine. If you don't feel like it's going to stay, then go ahead and applique it yourself. I'm not really worried about it, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And I liked how it looked, so I'll let you guys watch the rest. Okay, this is what we have so far, and it's turning out super cute. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel to see more of these type of videos. I will see you in my next one. Bye!